How's it going, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to our sixth digital live of 2026. I'm Zach Yorman, host of the digital lives tonight, aside my co-host Lale Walker. And today we are joined by Mark Thiesmeyer-Hook, who is the founder and president of Align Athlete. He's over the summer last year, he basically worked with several interns of ours. So yeah, we're just gonna get to know him today, and let's get into it.
Thanks for being here, Mark, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We're really excited for this conversation. If any of you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat during our Q&A section and we'll get to them. Okay, Mark, so do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your professional career?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Zach and Lale. I'm Mark Thiesmeyer-Hook. I have lots of degrees. I have a degree in business, a degree in public health nutrition, and another one in exercise science. And all of that put together makes for running a couple of different fitness companies. I got really interested in weightlifting in college in particular, and I was a runner in high school. And I wanted to do something about exercise being not that popular. So I started a company called Better Living Fitness to help people to enjoy exercise more, and specifically to learn how to strengthen their bodies. Most of us are losing 1% of our muscle every year after age 30. I know a lot of the people listening to this podcast aren't quite there yet. When I'm lecturing to students, I'll often tell them that at a cellular level, your peak of maturity is 12 years old. So you all are a little past your prime. On the downslide right now. So it's a great time to be thinking about exercising to rejuvenate and to keep those telomeres long so that you can live a long, happy life. But yeah, I have had a great time with the interns from the summer clinic. I'm excited to talk about them, and excited to tell you about Align Athlete.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And that's very cool how you just combined all of your three degrees and interests into just a really cool business that you want to bring to people. I think that's just really cool. And I will also say, it looks like your background, you're in your facility that all the the Instagram content is filmed in. So that's just a little tidbit for you guys who know Align Athlete. But
yeah, so do follow us and look at our content, please. You'll learn a lot about your bodies.
Yeah, go follow Align Athlete, guys. So yeah, we're just gonna jump into the not Q&A yet. We're gonna jump into some questions we have for Mark, just so we can get to know him a little bit better, as well as all of our viewers watching. So our first question: what inspired you to start Align Athlete, and what are the biggest challenges you faced early on?
Yeah, this is a story. So it goes back to college for me. I was looking for a way to come back to pay for school my sophomore year. I just maxed out my bank account to make my way through freshman year. And I was looking at all those flyers on campus, and I found one that said you could make $7,000 to $10,000 in a summer. And the only time I'd heard about doing that was on an Alaskan fisher boat, where, I've also heard stories about students that just went overboard and, they didn't find them. So this one was for running a painting company, and I thought I can maybe do that. And I learned how to run a business, paint houses on the exterior mostly. I was running 2 or 3 painting crews, and one day I was thinking about all the places that I needed to be, power washing a house while I was doing it, thinking about moving ladders and getting paint to another place and doing estimates that night. And all of a sudden I'm falling off a roof. I'm falling through the air. I've just walked my way right into the open space, and as I hit the ground, I can't breathe, and it's traumatic. I think I'm going to die here on my client's lawn, and that's a bad look for a painting company. So I managed to get myself to the hospital. they tell me that nothing's broken. I'm 19. I'm going to be fine. And that really began 8 years of chronic back pain for me. I look back and think that split second fall was such a blessing because I learned what it was like to go and age very, very fast. And I still had a lot of energy and time to learn about the body and figure out how to fix it. So I studied and studied, and I became an exercise trainer, and I got my master's degrees, and I worked with physical therapists and doctors to figure out what was happening in the medical world and what was happening in the fitness world with back pain in particular. And in doing so, I uncovered this whole different layer of understanding the body, which was fascinating because it wasn't just me who had fallen off the roof, but everybody has some misalignments in their body. And it was my misalignments that were causing me to have so much pain. A split fall, will knock a lot of things out of place. And if they don't get back into the right place and stay in the right place, you're going to just keep experiencing pain. But as I started looking at my clients, I realized everybody's living with some misalignments and they're breaking their bodies down. If they have knee pain, it's probably a misalignment at the pelvis. And if they have lower back pain, it's probably a misalignment at the sacrum. And once I started learning this, I started thinking, are there tools that people can use to put their own bodies back into alignment so that they don't have the pain? And even better, the Olympics are going on right now. Our body doesn't perform at its maximum level if we are out of alignment. So I'd love to be on that Olympic team working and putting people in alignment. I think it would be a great way to make that split second difference for a lot of them so that they didn't hit a wrong bump and damage their ACL or, a terrible fall. But in answer to your question, what's been challenging? My business is still very new. We just launched our first product, the Glute Activator, in late May of last year. So we're in our first year of sales. We had a great launch. We went on Kickstarter. We had $77,000 in sales in a month. It was phenomenal. And then my digital summer clinic interns started shortly after that. And it was a very exciting time of figuring out how do we keep this momentum going? And how do we produce all this product that we just sold? Because at that point, we didn't have those products produced.
Thank you for sharing that, Mark. I think you're an excellent testament to turning an unfortunate situation into a great blessing for you, because so many people kind of go through things and they kind of let that stop them, but you turn that into something that you could help people with and educate others. And even you just educating us and kind of talking about how people have so many misalignments in their bodies. Because for me, I'm over here touching my wrist because I was in a car accident years ago, but it still bothers me till this day. So it just, I don't know. I really reside with what you're saying. So for our next question,
we all have those knocks on our body. You're not wrong. Like even people in their 20s have already had some falls and some hits, and it behooves you to learn a little bit more about your body. It's like our bodies should almost come with an owner's manual, like if this, then maybe turn to chapter 3 and read this part about your body. So that's a little bit about what Align Athlete's about, little maintenance tricks and tips that hopefully we get a lot of people, collaborators over the next couple of years as we gain in popularity to just put those freeform tips out there so that people can learn and fix these things rather than languish in pain.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful because it makes it more accessible to people. So for our next question, it's what qualities do you look for in interns, especially in fast-paced startup environments?
Oh, wow. All right, so I'm going to say something that might be a little disparaging of students, but I'm saying it only in a way to be constructive and help every student walk into the first day on an internship or a job and be like, oh yeah, okay, I remember Mark said this. As a student, you are programmed to learn information and then tell that information back to your professor. But a startup environment is very different. Okay, so I learned that I would ask my interns a question. They would say, I don't know. I was like, well, I don't know either. So we've got to figure it out together. And I tell them, you got to get out of student mode. Like day one, minute one, none of us knows the answers. I'm not quizzing you to know what you know or learn what you know. I'm quizzing you because we have a problem to solve and we all have to put our minds together to solve it. So that's number one. Number two, I would say an ability to change direction fast. And you kind of alluded to that in your question. Like a startup, I had a mechanical engineering student who interned with me, and he said his first internship was at Ford, and he went to work every day and he focused on one very little thing and, tried to give his complete attention to it. And in our world, I mean, you're filming social media content one day, and then the next day you're cold calling podcasters to see if you can, promote the brand on a podcast. And then the next day you're doing production. Like I had my interns working my production line. It was like, we all have to learn how to make the glued activator. Let's make it. And then let's learn how to send it out, because we have to figure out how to put these mailing labels on it. And I appreciated that they were so good natured in changing direction and being like, never is it not my job. It's like everything is a learning experience. And it's fun. Like some of those production days, my interns would say these were my favorite days, just learning how to work this production line and then making it a game, figuring out how can we do it faster and more efficiently with maintaining the high quality. Creative problem solving will be the last thing I would say. We all know that AI exists. We learned that this year. We need to use it to get the first step. We can't use it for every step, but a lot of times ChatGPT or Gemini or any of the other models are decent at putting together a game plan that then can be improved upon or humanized. I appreciated that my interns were like, oh, yep, I know. First, I'm going to turn here, and then I'm going to try to do something with that.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you said about just the adaptability of being an intern. You just need to constantly pursue like whatever needs to be done. You should just be able to like adapt and just be like, yeah, I want to do that, especially in startups. Because like you said, with Ford, the bigger companies, they have like a lot more interns and they're all focused on like their own little particular things. With startups, it's kind of like, here, we're all trying to kind of figure this out. And if you have great ideas, share them. And like you have great ideas, let's put together a plan. Let's get them going, stuff like that. Because I feel like, especially as an intern, like you said, student mode, it's easy just to be stuck in like, I have to like learn this, I have to do this in this order. But like you said, reality is just not always that way. And I feel like it's really good to just be able to adapt and be able to constantly look at new opportunities and figure out what needs to come next. I feel like it's great advice for the Digital Summer Clinic. It's great advice for any internship you would get paired with here, and just any startup in general. It's just, you have to kind of have that startup mindset yourself to just go in and just get stuff done, but like not be so rigid in that you're just like here for one thing. Like you said, the manufacturing, like I'm sure that was not what they expected, but I'm sure they got a lot out of it too. So yeah.
Well, you learn a company from start to finish. If you want to be a marketer, you've got to learn how to present the product, to sell the product, to create a story around the product. And I think in order to do that, you've really got to understand the product. So, I mean, why not make the tool? In my company, it was actually a physical product that you could make. I don't know that anybody's capable of just, programming software, making a software tool or anything like that. So I think it was kind of fun for the interns to have something so concrete to work on and to carry around and be like, hey, try this. And they did do that. I think we're probably going to talk about what my experience was with the interns.
Yeah, I remember Sam would always talk about he's just walking around campuses with the glute activator. But we'll get to that in a second. So our third question, how have the interns from the Digital Summer Clinic program, we can talk about the ones from last summer as well as the new hire, Dylan, how have they impacted Align Athlete and played a role in its?
Yeah, I tasked Kiara, who was one of my interns, to get me on podcast, and she managed to get me on 4 different podcasts, which was phenomenal. That's potentially thousands of people who have now heard the story of my origin, the story about why glute activation is important, and getting that idea out there just requires, hitting the pavement. And she sent requests and information to several hundred podcasters to get that done. It was just tenacity and creativity, because she was approaching every single one of them with a personalized message that AI helped her develop. So I thought that was really great. From those $77,000 in Kickstarter sales, we managed to make all the product. We managed to ship all the product to 6 different continents. And that was a big learning curve. And I was deeply appreciative of my team for helping to make that happen. Additionally, we created video assets. We have a whole glute activator resources guide on YouTube, a playlist of videos that teach people how to place it correctly, how to find their sacrum. I learned from dropping the glute activator off at maybe a half dozen doctors' offices that even doctors have a hard time finding their sacrum. And my mistake was not giving them, detailed instructions for how to do it. So imagine if a doctor doesn't know, who's been through an anatomy class, where the sacrum is. The average person who's trying to place that tool, which, by the way, the glute activator is a tool that tractions the sacrum bone, which is the bottom of the spine here, and it tractions it down. We sit on it all day long, and it gets pushed up into our spine, and that weakens the nerves around that bone and around the lower back that fire your glutes. That's why every 6 months or so, you see a story in the New York Times that says sitting causes glute amnesia, sitting causes dead butt syndrome. My tool, the glute activator, our tool, Align Athlete's tool, helps to reactivate those glute muscles after long periods of sitting. So think about your plane ride or all your time in class today or filming this podcast. Great time to use the glute activator. So our digital marketing interns helped to develop a playlist that helped people find the sacrum, helped people use the right amount of pressure, helped people figure out the technique so that they'd have a higher success rate in using it, which has been instrumental because we've seen very few of them come back to us. So I think that is a testament to the quality of those video assets that they helped to develop. They created a couple months of social media content. Sam's videos were really fun and funny. They would go out and find things that were trending on the internet and be like, can we adapt this same trope or concept to an Align Athlete post? And they did a great job with that. And they got the product out into the environment. We were at several races. We have a great video from a 4th of July race of a racer who had tried it before and said, that it was dramatic for his race time and how he felt and how the fluidity once he got his glutes activated. And, we wouldn't have that content without the summer clinic. So deeply appreciative. And now Dylan is actually not an intern. He was an intern in the digital summer clinic. He's now actually an employee of Align Athlete. We hired him, and he is phenomenal. I reached out to the summer clinic knowing that the quality and caliber of students who are involved in it is quite high. And, he's just so good natured and likable and good at problem solving. We're really lucky to have him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing, just a takeaway from the clinic that I saw is just everybody is super passionate about trying to grow their career, and they're all very, like you said, well-natured. And I think even with like the social media content that you were touching on, that proof of concept of just like interviewing people who have used it at like races, that just creates so much trust between like potential buyers and like the brand. And it's just super good that you were able to get that out of the clinic. I'm happy with that. That's super cool. So yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty happy too.
Yeah. Now we're going to transition to the Q&A section. We have one question in the chat from Sufyan, aka Dr. Q, one of our mentors over on Facebook. He's asking, are you planning on participating in the Digital Summer Clinic internship for summer 2026?
Yeah, we would definitely participate if we were invited back to it. I don't know exactly what the requirements are, how startup-y we have to be, but if we are offered a spot in the clinic, we will definitely participate.
Fantastic. All right, so that is it for the Q&A portion. So I think that concludes our live today. It was great having Mark on. So before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you again to everybody who tuned into our digital live today.
And thank you so much for being here, Mark. We definitely enjoyed this conversation and walked away with a lot of new knowledge. So for everyone, be sure to stay up to date with the rest of our digital lives for the winter. Please join our next digital live, which will be next Monday, February 23rd at 5:30 p.m. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Lale. Thanks, Zach.